It's horrifying yet unsurprising, and that's sad, because you want to preserve your ability to be surprised still.
My name is Sam, hello. I worked in special education for 4 years, and now I'm a substitute teacher for anything from preschool to 12th grade.
Hi, my name is Selani, and I am a science teacher.
I'm CT, and I was a teacher's assistant for 2 years, teaching both 4th and 5th grade.
And I'm Dan. I was an adjunct professor for 1 year at an art school.
Art school.
Yeah. And today we're gonna answer some true-false questions.
The pupil-to-teacher ratio in 1970 was 22.3. In 2011 to 2012, that ratio was actually lower in public elementary schools, 21.2.
That was a lot of numbers.
It's a lot of numbers.
I mean, that just seems
That seems like a hard
impossible.
false.
I feel like the ratio is bigger today.
Yeah, the ratio is way bigger today.
All right, well.
Yeah.
Good for the future children of the world.
On average, teachers who use their own money on classroom supplies spent $479, although some teachers reported
To spend more than $1,000 on supplies.
Yeah, I mean, that has to be true. I would say even like higher than $1,000.
I would say true.
Oh, true. Great.
I mean, not, yes,
It's
that
actually
exists.
terrible. It's a
That sucks.
terrible systemic problem, but
Only 6.8% of public school educators who left teaching voluntarily in 2012-2013 cited salary and other job benefits as the most important factor in their decision, according to a Department of Education survey.
false, it's gotta be more.
It would be insane if it wasn't more.
I would say false,
Let's say
actually.
false.
What? Oh. In the 2014 to 2015 school year,
54% of public school teachers said they spent their own money on supplies for their classrooms.
Yeah, true.
That's so true.
I feel like it's higher, but I mean, I guess there are the ones that admitted to it and then the ones that actually did it.
right. That is an upsetting number, 94.
You're with your little tricky
You're
one
little-
word
you got
off.
me. You got me. As of the fall of 2016, there were 1.6 million elementary and secondary school teachers working full-time in the U.S.
Why not? There's a lot of people in the world.
Yeah.
I feel like it's too big
I
of
feel
a
like it's
number.
too big of a number.
Wow.
I knew
Well,
that.
at least we were correct. About 1 in 50 teachers leave their jobs within their first 3 years. True or false? I agree.
That is so true.
Absolutely false, and it has to be way higher.
It's gotta be higher.
Oh, not 1 in 50, but 1 in 5.
5.
Although it's one of the most rewarding jobs you can have because kids are amazing, you're not paid very well. So like,
And it's not the kids, it's the administrators and
Right.
the parents.
According to the National Center for Education Statistics, 57% of public school teachers hold a master's degree or higher.
Oh.
I am only saying false because I feel like you guys like to trick, like it's actually 55%,
Yes.
not 57.
92%.
Yeah.
True.
True.
Okay.
You're like, I quit.
It's true, yeah.
That is definitely
Yeah.
true. Sylvester Stallone briefly taught physical education at a boarding school in Switzerland.
Didn't he do softcore pornography?
Sounds pretty random.
That's awful, so it's probably true.
I'm gonna say false just because.
I'm gonna say false, just for the sake of argument.
It's true.
What I meant.
Adjusted for inflation, teacher salaries were 1% less for the 2015-2016 school year than they were in 1990-1991.
1% less. I think that's false.
Yeah, I would say false too.
That's false.
I'd say adjusted for inflation, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm getting stressed out.
Yeah, it's getting hot in here.
Corporal punishment, such as paddling, is still allowed at public schools in 4 states.
Probably true, because it just seems like maybe there's some obscure laws that haven't been taken off the books.
I think that's true.
I think that's true.
And I think Texas is one of them.
I would actually say that it's false because I would imagine there's more where it hasn't been taken off the books.
Yeah.
that it's legal?
19 is too many.
Are you serious?
19 states are paddling children.
I grew up in the Florida public school system. I never saw a teacher directly strike a student, but I did see a lot of like grabbing by the collar to remove them from a classroom, which is very physically violent.
All right, 63% of teachers in the US work second jobs to help pay their bills.
Oh, yes.
Hi.
I want to say false because I bet that is higher.
What is the number? 63?
So it's something like 80 something. False.
16 work second jobs? Oh wow.
That's great.
Who is taking these tests and who is filling this paperwork out?
What?
Because I've never filled that paperwork out.
Yeah.
And neither have all my teacher friends.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, as an adjunct, I could not live off the salary I was making as a teacher. That's why I worked 2 jobs.
This game was very enlightening.
I feel that there are still so many problems with our education system in the United States.
There were a few that I was surprised by.
I feel less positive about our direction than I did when I sat down.
Because we probably never would have otherwise learned this.
Right.
So this game just did us a real service.
Thank you to the teachers who are 94% of us paying with our own money to teach our students and just being there.